Yo, what is up, everybody? Chris Smith here, and you are tuned in to the All Pro Nation podcast, the fastest growing podcast on the internet right now. I don't care what anybody says. All Pro Nation, number one. Got my co-host in the co-pilot chair, Tanner Weber. Tanner, how you doing, man?
Better than I was yesterday.
Oh, man. Come on. Got to think positive.
Yeah, I'm over it.
Man, beautiful Tuesday night here in Louisiana, but up in Minnesota, not so much. But at least you can say this: as a Vikings fan, you've been there before. So, do you start to get numb to it after a while, or does it still hurt just as bad every time?
No, this loss don't hurt as bad as some of the past ones, but probably because the 2009 championship and the 98 championship were heartbreakers, whereas this one we just got straight up beat.
Like,
Eagles were the better team.
Yeah. I mean, look, I before 2006 when Sean Payton and Drew Brees came to New Orleans, dude, I was just happy to get to 8-8 during those years, you know. Like, if we could get to 8-8, that was a good season. Beat the Falcons, and that was our Super Bowl. And honestly, as a Saints fan, 3 seasons of 7-9, I could not be happier with the way the season ended. It sucks, but it's part of being a sports fan. You either like it or you don't like it.
No sense in dwelling on it.
Yeah, no sense in dwelling on it. You need to tell that, though, to some of the people that follow you on Twitter.
Every fan base has got them, but actually, I'm not really so much pissed off at Vikings fans as I am Eagles fans. My mentions were ugly yesterday.
Eagles fans are bad, man.
I can tell you right now, I don't care what anybody says. There is not a worse fan base in the league than the Eagles.
Oh no,
not even close. Not even close.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. They're known for it. They've been known for it. And I'm sorry, like, I guess we'll go ahead and get on this rant. Like, it's just freaking football. You know,
I'm passionate.
Like, look, don't get me wrong. If you follow me on Twitter, and you should, if you don't, at 318 Realty, follow Tanner at purple_post. But if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see me during games, dude. I'll talk all the smack in the world. You know, I'll go at the other fan bases because I'm having fun. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I'm going to still go to sleep well, and I hope I wake up with the same group of friends. But I'll be damned if I'm going to go to a game and have a full beer can thrown at me.
Oh.
You know?
I heard a lot of stories.
I'll be damned if I'm going to go to a football game. I mean, let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings fans that flew across country, that paid an outrageous hotel bill, that bought an outrageous ticket to go see their favorite team play, and they have to walk through a gauntlet of trash to get there. It's ridiculous. It's uncalled for. And Philadelphia fans, you should be ashamed of yourself. That's my rant.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand that every fan base has those fans that act like that. But where does it come? Where's there a point in time where somebody just like stops it? Like there's security at the games, but like I feel like security doesn't do anything about it. The Vikings bus was leaving the stadium and people are throwing beer cans and whatever else at the bus. You got Vikings fans walking to the stadium. It should be a safe environment. Should be. I'm hearing stories about people getting beat up and grabbing people's Vikings hats and throwing them in urinals. I actually had my mailman came into my workplace yesterday, and he's a Rams fan. He doesn't care. He could care less about the game. But he said that he had a friend that took his dad to the championship game this weekend, the Eagles-Vikings game.
Yeah.
And he said that they walked past somebody on the way to the stadium. There's a Vikings fan being held down by 2 other Eagles fans, and the third Eagles fan was pissing on him.
Come on.
I mean,
that's just when it gets
I
taken
wasn't there,
too
so
far.
I don't know if that's true or not. But like from all the videos that I've seen of the way that Vikings fans are treated, it doesn't surprise me at all.
Right. Yeah, no. It's ridiculous, dude. It's just sports. There's no reason to lose friendships over sports. There's no reason to lose relationships. There's no reason to be an asshole. It's just freaking sports. Trust me, you won't find a more passionate fan about their sports teams than me. I promise you that. Live and breathe everything black and gold. But at the end of the day, it's just a game. You know,
Yeah.
Drew Brees isn't going to call me up and be my friend if I've ruined a friendship with somebody. He could care less who Chris Smith is. So you got to kind of think about those things. But man, I was talking about on your Twitter account, man. You had some Vikings fans saying some pretty cruel things to what I thought was a pretty uplifting post that you put up.
I blocked quite a few people yesterday, and I haven't done that a lot in the 5 years that I've had Twitter, or 6 years, or whatever it is.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be all right though. They're gonna look back and they're gonna think we had a pretty magical season. Because look, nobody
just give it a few months.
You know, first it was Sam Bradford, then it was Dalvin Cook, and nobody thought the Vikings were gonna. Look, it's not easy to make it to the divisional round or to the championship game. You don't get there by luck. You get there because of skill, a little bit of luck, but mostly skill.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you've got 32 other teams vying for those 4 spots in the on Championship Sunday. So if you're one of the 4 teams left after the others have been eliminated, I mean, that's something to be proud of. Not every team can make it to the Super Bowl every year. That's my take.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand, like, if any Vikings fans listen to this podcast, I mean, you have a right to be mad. I mean, yeah, we don't have a Super Bowl yet. Spent a lot of years of heartbreak. We got to NFC Championship again. We lost, but you know what? Get over it.
Right.
You don't need to come into my mentions and call me a dumbass for being positive about this team's outlook, because they're still young. They're super young. We got a good coach, and I'm pretty confident we'll be back within the next few years or whatever. So
yeah, absolutely.
Just grow up. I'm so sick of it. I'm seriously, I just had a tough day yesterday.
Yeah, Twitter can be pretty brutal.
For sure.
You got to have thick skin to be on Twitter. Very thick skin.
Like Trump?
What's that?
Like Trump? What do you think his mentions look like every day?
Yeah.
We won't go into politics, though.
Yeah, that pretty much any. I follow a couple of political people on Facebook, politicians and news anchors and stuff like that. And sometimes, just for kicks and giggles, just to pass time, I'll go and look at something that they post and just scroll through the comments and just see the people just going off on people.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of pretty crazy human beings out there.
Yeah. Well, I guess we've wasted enough time. Let's get to Championship Sunday. Man, these are getting easier and easier to read every week. Patriots beat the Jaguars 24-20. Eagles beat the Vikings 38-7. There it is. Which one do you want to start with first? I'm going to let you pick.
We can go in order of the games. We'll start with Patriots, Jags.
All right, let's start with Patriots, Jags. Look, man.
I'm not going to lie. I had a birthday party for my niece on Sunday, so I actually missed the first half of that game. So if you got something you'd like to share about the first half that I maybe missed, feel free.
Nothing really particular with the first half. Just the game in general is this is where having a better quarterback would have come in handy for Jacksonville.
Oh, for
Uh,
sure.
because Jacksonville, 0 points in the first quarter, 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, then 2 field goals in quarter 3 and quarter 4, one each,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're not
Yep.
going to beat the Patriots kicking field goals. Now, granted, give Jacksonville's defense credit. They held the Patriots to only 10 points. But then the fourth quarter came around, and Tom Brady did Tom Brady things, and, here we are. So this is where a better quarterback. There are Jacksonville fans that love Blake Bortles. Look, if you love Blake Bortles, that's fine. Just know you're never going to win a Super Bowl with Blake Bortles.
Dude,
Because
I
when you,
felt bad for him, actually. Did you
oh
see him at the end of the game?
yeah,
He was passionate
crying,
about that loss.
yeah,
That's tough.
yeah, whatever. It's just a game. Get over it.
It's just a game.
But that's where a better quarterback would have come in handy for them. But it is what it is. Another thing.
we can't act like Blake Bortles didn't play a good game though.
Oh no, he did play a good game. He did play. He put up almost 300 yards. But look, the Patriots' defense isn't good. We know this. It's not. This isn't a surprise.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Well, they should have scored more points than they did, but
Yeah. He threw 1 touchdown. Leonard Fournette ran one in, and that was the extent of their scoring outside of 2 field goals. Now look, they came out and I'll be honest with you, it kind of looked like in the first half that they had put together a good game plan and had been Bill Belichick just kind of confused, like, holy crap, I didn't expect the Jaguars to come out fighting like this. So I give them props that, but a competent quarterback would have won that game.
yeah, it'll be fun to see what they do this offseason.
Yeah, got to go quarterback. Another thing that I'm seeing float around the social media universe is this bull crap about the Patriots, NFL trying to give the Patriots the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's all over Facebook.
Because of the penalty discrepancies, right? Because
Or the referee telling Tom Brady a good game.
That, or whatever you want to do. Let me put it to you this way, and just hear me out. One, first and foremost, the only call that if I was a Jaguars fans, I go back and question is why did they blow the whistle when Miles Jack stripped the ball? Because he clearly stripped the ball. He clearly had possession, and he clearly wasn't down. You want to complain about that? I'm right there with you. He makes that touchdown, this is a different game because that was going in. That was going in for 6 for sure. So I will give you that. But there is not a penalty that was called on Jacksonville that was unquestioned, unwarranted. Did the officials maybe miss a call here and there on the Patriots? Yeah, sure. They probably missed some on the Jaguars too. It's human error.
Yeah, there are missed calls every game.
Yeah, you've got humans doing this, There's gonna be errors. Number 2, if you really truly in your heart of hearts believe that Roger Goodell wants to see Tom Brady and Bill Belichick in the Super Bowl, you are on some kind of drug that is on another planet. Please give me what you're smoking. Right? Because Goodell does not want to have to hand that Lombardi trophy to Bill Belichick
again
in 2 weeks.
He wants nothing to do with Foxborough.
So that's number 2. And number 3, the NFL has made policies to prevent dynasties from happening. They do not want to see the Patriots win 7 Super Bowls or 6 Super Bowls. They don't want to see the Patriots have gone to 8 of them since Tom Brady's been there.
That's stupid, dude.
They don't want that. That's why there's a salary cap. That's why there's rules in place, because they want to because guess what? They got tired of seeing the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl every year, the Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl every year, the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl every year. They don't want dynasties. They want to prevent that. They want it to legitimately be any year any team can win the Super Bowl. The Patriots have just out-patrioted everybody. Bill Belichick is the best coach in the history of the NFL. Hands down. So that's my take. Jacksonville should have won this game. The game was there. They let Tom Brady come back and win that game.
Yeah, you give him any cushion in the fourth quarter, he'll make you pay.
Yeah,
I agree that Miles Jack, if that play wouldn't have been blown dead, he would have scored, and that would have been a completely different score.
Exactly.
Because if you're looking, what was the score then? Was it 20 to?
No, it was.
They were up by 3 or something, I think, weren't they? Or 10. They were up by 10 points.
They were up by 10. Yeah.
Yeah, they were up by 10 points in the fourth quarter. You would have scored. You got a 17-point deficit with 13 minutes left. I mean, if it's Brady, I mean, it's doable, but I don't think against that Jaguars defense he would have been able to pull that off. 17 points is quite a bit in 13 minutes. So,
yeah, I mean,
I don't think there's a lot to add to that.
And
it is what it is.
You know, and the defense lost 2 players on that last drive. That hurt. Jalen Ramsey, you know, he was a little handsy. He didn't play his best game. I mean, he still played a really good game, better than most corners in the league. But you know, he didn't play a Jalen Ramsey game. And at the end of the day, the New England Patriots just straight up won the game. And Jacksonville, you had a good year. You got to get a new quarterback. So, that was clearly the best game of the weekend.
Was there any competition?
Because the other one was pretty
brutal.
Pretty brutal. And it was over before it really started.
It's a nice word for it, actually. Brutal.
Yeah.
It's being nice.
So let's get into it. Philadelphia 38, the Vikings 7. Go ahead and break it down for me, Mr. Weber.
Vikings got out to a quick start in the first 6 minutes. Scored a touchdown on their opening drive. Eagles got the ball back on the next drive. Foles actually looked pretty good, but he had two receivers drop the ball on his first drive. I thought it was going to be one of those games where everything was going to go Minnesota's way.
That's what it was looking like.
The following, what's that?
I said that's what it was looking like.
Yeah. I thought we were going to be in for a good day and maybe break that curse. But following drive, Minnesota got the ball back, and that's where the game was over. After that, I knew the play where Chris Long rushed Keenum and made him throw a bad throw. You know what? Even without that pressure, though, when I'm looking back at that play, Keenum should have never thrown that ball.
Yeah.
That wide receiver was draped by 2 different people. It was picked off by Patrick Robinson. He returned it for 6. And
hey, I think I know that guy.
At that, yeah, I'm sure you do. Probably wish you had him back right now, don't you?
No, he was garbage for the Saints.
Yeah, but he was garbage then. He's not garbage now. He had a good year.
He was a liability. Yeah, he did have a good year though.
But football is a game of momentum. Most sports are a game of momentum, but especially in the playoffs, I knew once that interception was returned for a touchdown, I don't think the Eagles were ever going to give their momentum back after that. The crowd was pumped up. Especially in the playoffs, you just can't afford to turn the ball over. The fumble right before halftime was also pretty costly. But that was the defining play of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That interception, just there's no looking back after that. Vikings defense. I know you and I talked about it a little bit earlier before we hopped on the pod here, but this is the second time in the 4 years that Coach Zimmer has been in Minnesota where I've just seen the defense completely collapse like that. The other run was last season against the Colts. The Colts weren't very good. They came to Minnesota and they whooped us pretty hard.
Yeah.
We couldn't stop anybody. So it was super tough to watch because go back and watch any game this year. The Vikings have the best defense in football. I don't care what anybody says, but I know, like you said, I think the depth on the D line might be an issue or might have been an issue in this game. Everson Griffin's been battling plantar fasciitis since I think it was like week 10 or week 11, I think is when it came out back against the Browns. I know he hasn't been playing 100%, so I know that's affected him quite a bit. Danielle Hunter wasn't the player we thought he was going to be this year. He had 12.5 sacks last year on like 30 or 40% of the snaps, and he only ended up with like 6 this year. Big nose tackle Linville Joseph is playing 95% of the snaps of every game when he should be playing like 75. I mean, that's a big dude playing 3 downs. And then the 3-tech defensive tackle is just kind of an issue all year. We didn't have much depth after Tom Johnson. So that's something that the Vikings are going to have to address this offseason if they want to make a deep push again next year in the postseason, I think. I don't really know what else to add into that game. It was tough. It was really tough to watch.
Yeah. The defensive line depth for the Vikings was secretly an issue that I don't think anybody was talking about. I know we were talking before the podcast, and I mentioned that, Fletcher Cox, for instance, on the Eagles defensive line is by far their best player, and he was only playing, I want to say somewhere in the 70s to 80% of the offensive snaps, where Linval Joseph, Danielle Hunter, Everson Griffin, these guys are playing, 95% of the snaps. And see, it's only 16 games. I get it, but the season's a long season, and I feel like they finally just tired out at the end of the year. I mean, you can kind of tell in every statistical category of that Vikings defensive line, they progressively got a little worse as the year went on. Still better than every other, most other defenses. But just progressively just got banged up, injuries, and I don't. It was it was
even
shocking.
Just the game by itself, and just the game in itself, not necessarily just the season. Minnesota in the first half, they had such a hard time. They could not get a stop on defense.
Yeah.
And once you can't get off the field, you're just going to get tired, more and more tired as every drive goes on.
Yeah.
The Eagles are consistently getting into the red zone every drive that they were on the field, and that really wears down on a defense. And the Minnesota offense wasn't really moving the ball either. So I mean, you're 5-6 plays on the Vikings offensive drives, and then Minnesota's defense has to head back out there. So that didn't help either. I do have to give credit to Doug Peterson. He called a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Even as a fan, just sitting and watching the game, I was shocked at like how unpredictable his play calling was. I mean, he got everybody on that offense involved. Everybody had a good game.
Yeah.
Zach Ertz, Aguilar, Ajayi, Blunt scored a touchdown. They all played well.
Yeah.
So,
Sean Jeffrey.
Props to him. He's definitely. I think he actually talked himself right back into Coach of the Year. So
yeah. I think they've already voted. I think they've already made their decision.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I think they.
Was that voted on after the season's done, or did they wait till playoffs?
No, I think they do it the week between the playoffs and the regular season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I'm not 100% sure who's gonna get it, but yeah, you're right. If If they made the vote after that game, he definitely talked himself right back into it. Um, and then another thing, of course, Doug Peterson, brilliant game, but you know, Nick Foles just played lights out.
Who
And
is Nick Foles?
what's that?
Who the heck is Nick Foles? It's just unreal. I cannot believe this kid, the way he played for the Rams.
Yeah,
Came into Philadelphia after Wentz went down. His 3 playoff games that he's played in, he hasn't thrown a pick yet.
yeah. he's one of the best playoff quarterbacks there is.
He's thrown he's got 5 touchdowns, 0 picks. He's got a QBR rating of over 100 each game, and he's averaging 300 yards a game.
That's crazy.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Foles played a hell of a game. Case Keenum, picked just the worst week to play a bad game. But that's football, man. That's football, and was not expected. But I do think, and I think I can say this confidently, that the New England Patriots versus the Philadelphia Eagles is going to be a good game. I was kind of worried we weren't going to get a good game looking at some of the teams and quarterbacks, but I really do think this is going to be a good game.
Mm.
So, anyways, anything else you want to talk about with these two games?
I don't think so. I don't think there's really anything else I could add in.
I'm
excited. I'm excited to talk about the offseason for a lot of these teams.
Yeah.
Jaguars and Vikings, respectively.
Speaking of the offseason, before this game, I think it was a foregone conclusion that the Vikings were going to franchise tag Case Keenum, and he was going to be the starter next year. After this game, does anything change with Case Keenum?
Kirk
Cousins is out there.
I wouldn't necessarily say that he was going to get franchised, because Vikings GM Rick Spielman, he's been here a long time, and all the years that he's been here, he has never franchised a player. That's just not something that he does. If he wants somebody back, he's going to lock him up long term.
Yeah, but you can't pay Case Keenum $100 million.
Oh no, no, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know, man. I've been asked that question. I've had people inboxing me on Twitter for 2 days now. What do you think? Who's going to be QB next year? Who's going to be QB? Because for those of you that don't know, Case Keenum, Sam Bradford, Teddy Bridgewater, all 3 quarterbacks on the Vikings roster are free agents right now. None of them are guaranteed to be back. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I was thinking if Pat Shurmur was maybe going to go to Arizona, that Case Keenum might follow him or somewhere else. But since I've been hearing that Eli is going to be sticking around in New York now, so that ain't going to happen. He ain't going to go to New York. I don't know what he's going to do. If he's going to try and go somewhere and be his own guy, or re-sign with the Vikings and compete for a job.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident Teddy Bridgewater will be back next year on a cheap 1-year deal. Kind of prove it.
Mm-hmm.
If he wins the starting job, they'll lock him up long term. But I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to be the Vikings starter next year. It's tough.
Yeah, and dude,
call.
Eli Manning being back in the Giants is just freaking ridiculous. Eli Manning needs to stop holding the Giants organization hostage. They're never going to win another Super Bowl with him, and every day that he's still on that roster and is the starting quarterback is another day that the franchise is getting set further and further back. And somebody needs to grow the balls and say, Eli, you had a good run. We're blowing this thing up. We've got to move on. We want to win championships. We don't want to sit here and worry about Eli Manning's freaking feelings.
I agree, but looking at that, do you think? because I mean, it looks pretty likely that the Giants are probably going to take Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold or whoever at number 2 to be a rookie quarterback next year. Don't you think that it's a good idea to keep Eli around one more year just to learn?
No.
To have somebody to learn under him?
No.
Because you don't want to throw a rookie QB in the fire.
No, you don't. You don't. Have a Case Keenum. Have a Sam Bradford training. Not Eli Manning, because Eli Manning's is not interested in that. His brother wasn't interested in it. He's not going to be interested in it.
Fair.
He wants to be the starter. You saw how he got on national television and did this press conference and cried and whimpered because they were going to let Geno Smith start, and he wasn't going to get his start. He's not a team guy. And he had a good run. He's had a good career. But every day that he stays the starter, he's putting the franchise further and further back, and they're not going to win a Super Bowl with him. So, I hope Pat Shurmur sees that, because Pat Shurmur's already had one head coaching gig. If he screws this one up, it's hard to get a third one.
Oh, yeah.
So.
They gave him a 5-year deal, and he's won like 9 games. He's like 9-24 in his career.
You can't judge somebody based on what they did with the Browns.
Nobody. Oh, no, I'm just...
Nobody does good with the Browns.
They just don't look good. He was an intern with the Rams, too, wasn't he?
What's that?
He was an intern with the Rams, too, wasn't he?
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see that old Patty Shurmur.
Patrick.
What's that?
I just saw, I read something today that a New York radio show addressed him as Patrick Shurmur. I just thought that was really funny.
And while we're talking New York and Pat Shurmur, look, let me just go ahead and say this. Pat Shurmur, I think, is a good hire. Jack Del Rio, I think, is a terrible hire.
I agree. I saw a lot of people today were saying the Giants actually knocked it out of the park if they brought Shurmur in and Del Rio. I think Jack Del Rio is an overrated coach. The same Jack Del Rio who was in Denver, and then when he left, the Denver defense got better under Wade Phillips. Yeah. Was the Raiders' defense good in the last 3 years?
Yeah, the same Jack Del Rio that was head coach / defensive coordinator at Oakland, and they were garbage with Khalil.
Yeah, they were ranked near the bottom of the league every year.
Like, dude, Jack Del Rio just keeps getting by without really putting anything on paper. I just don't get it.
He needs to be a positional coach.
Yeah.
Linebackers or something. He used to play line. He played linebacker in the NFL for a long time. Stick him there. Nothing further than that. He's had his opportunities.
Yeah. Okay, so we are not talking. We're not doing game predictions for the Super Bowl.
Not yet.
So I guess this will be a good time to kind of take a break and do a little programming note. So we're doing this podcast tonight. Next week's podcast is going to be super, super condensed. We're going to hit on a couple of news things, but it's going to be super condensed because on Sunday for the Super Bowl, 2:00 Central Time, the Super Bowl live podcast. It will be streamed live over Facebook and Twitter. Excuse me. And then there will be an audio version of it streamed live on Mixler.com. Just go on Mixler.com, search for All Pro Nation Podcast, and you can listen to the live audio version. Immediately following the Super Bowl, I will upload those into iTunes and onto YouTube, the video file. Also, you can catch the replay on All Pro Nation's Facebook page. So if you don't get to catch it live, but you want to hear the show before the Super Bowl starts, it will be there. Don't forget to go follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. If you share the post that's pinned to the top, that gets you one entry into the drawing. If you go to iTunes, which is the most important thing to do, go to iTunes, find All Pro Nation, give us a 5-star review. That gets you 5 entries into the drawing. The gift bag that you get is an All Pro Nation T-shirt, Super Bowl T-shirt, Super Bowl commemorative football by Wilson, and a 1-year free subscription to the All Pro Nation Insiders once that gets launched. So it's a really cool gift bag that you get. A couple T-shirts, a football, so you can remember the Super Bowl. It's free. All you got to do is share the post, give us a 5-star review on iTunes, get your name in the drawing. We're going to draw that live on camera. But you're not going to want to miss the Super Bowl show. We've already started working on it. We've already started putting it all together. We're putting a lot of work into it. We've got a couple really cool interviews. I'm not going to tell y'all too much, but we do have a national guy who's probably going to pop in and make an appearance on the podcast. You're definitely going to want to check it out. So
for sure,
Super Bowl show.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and you get to see me and Tanner's beautiful faces. So what's there not to love? So anyway, so don't forget about the live Super Bowl show, 2 p.m. Central Time, February 4th. So anyway, so we're gonna skip that. I guess we'll go straight into a few news topics. And if I know you're kind of a stat guy. So if you got any, I know every week you kind of throw some stats at me. If you got any of those, and if you want to touch on anything else,
not really. It's mostly just like news stuff this week. Now that the season's pretty much done, I don't really have much for stats, but I do have some Pro Bowl notes for anybody that's interested in watching the Pro Bowl. This is kind of the time of since the game is on Sunday, this is the time where a lot of players replace other players that maybe don't want to play or injured or end up playing in the Super Bowl. So Lions guard TJ Lang is replacing Brandon Scherf of the Redskins at guard. Vikings defensive tackle Linville Joseph is replacing Fletcher Cox, who's going to be in the Super Bowl. Vikings safety Harrison Smith is going to replace Landon Collins, who I think had surgery, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure he got injured at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Seahawks defensive tackle will replace Everson Griffin in the Pro Bowl. Vikings tight end Kyle Rudolph will replace Zach Ertz, who will be playing in the Super Bowl. Falcons safety Keanu Neal will replace Malcolm Jenkins, who will be playing in the Super Bowl. Defensive end of the Chargers, Melvin Ingram, is going to replace his teammate, Joey Bosa. Doug Baldwin, wide receiver for the Seahawks, is replacing Larry Fitzgerald. Here's one for Chris. Larry Warford, the guard for the Saints, is going to be replacing Brandon Brooks.
Number 7, baby. Number 7.
Yeah, seven Pro Bowlers for the Saints. It's a good number. Quarterback Jared Goff of the Rams is replacing Carson Wentz. That was expected. This is an interesting name. Tight end for the Colts, Jack Doyle, is replacing Gronk. I feel like I could have found a better tight end, but no offense, Jack.
Jack Doyle had a pretty solid season this year, though.
Pro Bowl season?
Not Pro Bowl, but not too many Pro Bowl tight ends.
I just thought that was pretty funny. T.Y. Hilton is replacing A.J. Green at wide receiver. Thomas Davis, I'm happy for him. He's playing in what's probably going to be his last Pro Bowl. He's replacing Anthony Barr. Left tackle Joe Staley is replacing Tyron Smith, who I think Tyron Smith is having surgery too. I could be wrong about that. Quarterback Derek Carr is replacing Tom Brady, and my last one is tight end Jason Witten is replacing Zach Ertz, who's playing in the Super Bowl. That's all I got for the Pro Bowl notes. Some coaching notes is the Browns have hired former Steelers offensive coordinator Todd Haley to be their offensive coordinator. I'm not really sure what I think about that hire yet.
Is he gonna get punched in a Cleveland bar?
Stay away from bars, Todd Haley. the Titans have fired defensive coordinator Dick LeBeau. I would think that he's probably going to hang it up here pretty soon. That dude's pretty old. That leads me into I was going to ask you about this, actually. I think it's a good coaching hire, but I'm surprised they didn't go offense. The Titans have hired Texans defensive coordinator Mike Vrabel to be their head coach.
Yeah, I was shocked they didn't go offense, but I think he's a good hire. It was unexpected. I had no idea that was coming. Yeah, that one took me off guard for sure. I think it's a good hire. I mean, he's a good coach.
I'm curious to see what he does with that defense. They weren't very good last year, but a quote from the Titans general manager on Mike Vrabel was, quote unquote, "He's an alpha among alphas." So I think that was pretty interesting.
He looks kind of alpha in his pictures.
Yeah, he's a pretty scary looking
dude. Looks stout.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Mike Vrabel was a former linebacker for the Patriots in the early 2000s. Yeah. Won a couple Super Bowls with Brady. So he's been to the playoffs before. He knows what it takes.
Yeah, he's been with O'Brien, who comes from the Patriots coaching, the Bill Belichick coaching tree. So I mean, he's going to take that New England Patriot mantra to Tennessee. So that's scary, man. That's scary because you got the Grand Wizard himself in New England. Then you have all his little minions running around. You're gonna have one in Indianapolis, one in Tennessee, one Josh in Detroit. Yep. You got one in Houston. I mean,
I gotta say this right now. I'd like to talk about the Matt Patricia hire a little bit. I think that's gonna turn out to be a bust for them.
I think so too, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Look, man, I like
Lions
Matt
fans
Patricia.
can come at me. I just have a bad feeling about that.
I'm going to take that back. I don't know if it's going to be a bust. I think that he's been in New England for a while now, and I think if he wasn't ready, I think Bill Belichick would tell him, "Look, I'm not going to hold you back, but I don't know if you're ready." And I think he would listen. I think he's ready. I think he has the love and support of Bill Belichick to go. I think he's ready.
Yeah, if you have Belichick's blessing, I would think that you would. I mean,
and someone said something about this the other day, and we were talking more about Josh McDaniels, and they were like, "Well, look at Josh McDaniels, how that ended up in Denver." Well, yeah, Josh McDaniels' biggest mistake was drafting Tim Tebow. But outside of that,
he won a playoff game, Chris.
He did.
Tim Tebow is the man.
He did win a playoff game. That's
Don't
more.
You hate on my Gator.
But if you look back to his time in Denver, a lot of what happened wasn't on Josh McDaniels. So I think I don't know if it's going to work. I'm not going to say it's a bust. Some coaching hires you're like, yeah, he's going to be good, or this dude's going to suck. Like we knew Mike Mularkey last year when the Titans hired him was going to suck, because he always sucks. We know that Jack Del Rio is going to suck because he always sucks.
I agree.
We know that Jim Caldwell's a good coach, but he doesn't have a commanding presence, and players probably really just don't respect him.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's going to be an offensive coordinator. That's why no one's hiring him as a head coach. Mm-hmm. So with Matt Patricia, though, I don't know. I really don't. I worry about the guy who wears the professionalism that's needed to be a head coach. Right. And I say that having Sean Payton as my head coach, who's probably one of the most unprofessional coaches in football. But
hey, sometimes players like that, though.
I love it. I know all 31 other teams hate Sean Payton. I eat it up. I love.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit last week too. It's understandable,
But yeah, you're talking about Matt Patricia, who got off the bus at the Super Bowl wearing an FU Roger Goodell T-shirt, or whatever it was. It didn't say FU. It was some shot at Roger Goodell.
I remember that.
I question if he's ready, but I really believe that Bill Belichick wouldn't let him go if he wasn't. So We'll see. We'll see. I think the jury's out on him, so we'll see.
Couple other coaching notes. Panthers defensive coordinator Steve Wilkes has accepted the job at Arizona Cardinals to become their new head coach.
What you think about that hire?
Oh man, I don't know. I like Steve Wilkes, but that offense is in need of a massive makeover, and I really think that team should have won offense, but I don't know he might surprise me. We'll see what happens. The Cardinals have the oldest roster in the NFL, by the way. I just want everybody to know that.
Who's he taking as his offensive coordinator, have they said?
Darrell Bevell actually interviewed with the Cardinals today, and he is on his way to Minnesota tomorrow.
Ugh. That's another person. How does he keep getting jobs?
Darrell Bevell, yeah.
God.
I've actually heard a lot of, or just seen, I've seen a lot of like comments from, it seems like players don't like playing for Darrell Bevell.
Yeah.
It seems like they question his play calling a lot. I know he doesn't have a really strong history, but
yeah,
he's actually already had a small stint with Minnesota from 2006 to 2010. But he did not call the plays when he was in Minnesota. That was Brad Childress.
Yeah.
So I want people to know that too. A lot of people think that he's the one that was calling the plays the first time around. Jets have fired offensive coordinator John Morton. That actually shocked me just because of how far he took that Jets offense this year, considering like how untalented they were.
Yeah.
We already kind of went through this. The Giants said they intend to roll with Eli Manning at quarterback next year. We'll see what happens with that in the coming months. Jets wide receiver Robbie Anderson was arrested on 9 different charges in Florida last week. I didn't read all of them. I read something about resisting arrest, assault, punching an officer. So he's probably going to see a suspension coming, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Browns left tackle Joe Thomas said he is undecided about retirement. He does not know whether or not he will play in 2018.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's getting up there in the years, but
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if he didn't come back. I think he'll play next year. And my last note is Chris's favorite man, Gene Steratore, will be the referee for Super Bowl 52.
Love it.
Freaking
love it. Best referee in football.
So.
All right, well, since we're talking referees, Al Riveron, for some reason, they've decided to bring him back as head of officiating.
I saw it today.
Ugh. I can't believe we missed this. I forgot to mention this earlier. Jarrett McKinnon wants out of Minnesota.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
He wants to go somewhere where he'll be the guy that he does not like.
You know where he's gone, right?
Where?
New York.
I could see it, but they need a running back.
He's gonna follow Sherman to New York. That was my prediction today. I could also see. I saw somebody throw out there San Francisco too. I think him and Carlos Hyde would be a nice 1-2 punch with Garoppolo.
But he doesn't. He wants to go and be a number one. He don't want to do a 1-2 punch.
Okay, well, Jarek McKinnon needs to understand that he's not a feature back.
Well, that's what.
And I think he will. He will understand that once he hits free agency. He better understand it, anyways.
Teddy Bridgewater definitely sees himself as the 2018 starter.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. We were talking quarterbacks.
Gosh, that just gets me jacked up for free agency.
And I think that's really all I have as far as news goes. You hit pretty much everything else that I was going to talk about. 2 more things I want to say is, one, can we please go light a candle and pray to God that Ben McAdoo does not get hired as the offensive coordinator of Minnesota?
Kick that guy out of the freaking league.
And 2, as a Vikings fan, how terrible is it knowing that the Eagles have to come to Minnesota now?
Oh my gosh. I actually saw, if you signed up for this group you just need a good ass kicking. I saw there was a group on Facebook. Somebody started. They were spreading it around Twitter. Somebody started up a Facebook group that they were gonna get a bunch of people together and throw frozen beer cans at Eagles fans as they walk to the stadium.
Yeah. See,
two wrongs don't make a right. So
yeah.
if you want to be an idiot and make our fan base look bad, just please stop.
Yeah. And one more thing that I talked about. I kind of went on a rant a couple of weeks ago with the Raiders and hiring John Gruden and look and them not applying to the Rooney Rule and hiring the minority candidates. The NFL did its investigation and says that they did comply. If anyone frickin' believes that. I personally think it's a dumb rule, but it is what it is. It is a rule, and apparently they are saying they complied. So there it is.
Wow.
Anyways, well, that's it, man. I guess that's going to wrap it up. Seems like it was kind of short this week.
Yeah, we're getting to that point in the year where podcasts will get shorter, but that's okay.
Yeah, but all right, guys. Well, I guess with that, we'll head out. Don't forget, follow us on Twitter at All Pro Nation. Follow us on Facebook at All Pro Nation. You can follow me at 318 Realty, and you can follow Tanner at Purple_Post. 2:00 p.m. Central Time will be the Super Bowl show. Please, please, please go share that those statuses on Facebook and Twitter. Go on iTunes, give us a 5-star review. Get your name in the drawing. A lot of people have already done it. So make sure you do that. And I guess anyway, are you watching the Pro Bowl this week?
I haven't decided yet. I think I watched a little bit last year, but it gets a little more boring every year, it seems like.
The Saints coaching staff is coaching the NFC. I'm glad they're going back to NFC versus AFC.
We'll see if Sean Payton does the skull chant.
Nah, come on now. Come on now. God. In case you're interested, though, the NFC is a 3.5-point favorite.
Oh, they got spreads on that?
In Vegas, yeah.
People actually bet on that game.
Yeah, 3.5-point favorite. So
that's really something.
There you go, for what that's worth. So, all right, guys. Well, enjoy the Pro Bowl, Senior Bowl's this weekend too. That's going to be fun. We'll have some tidbits coming out the Senior Bowl on next week's podcast, and so we'll do that. We'll talk a couple early draft stuff next week too.
Finally.
Then we'll get into the Super Bowl on Sunday, and then we'll be in full off-season mode after that. So getting to that time, guys. But we appreciate y'all listening. Thank you so much. Don't forget statuses, iTunes 5-star review. Follow us on Twitter. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good night. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Weber, for listening.
Number 1 fans.